climate change a threat? Pleas for wise spending by government agencies. And Guardian-class patrol boat arrives.
This is National EMTV News with Dennis Orere.
Welcome, this is Saturday's news. While commemorating the World Earth Day yesterday, leaders say climate change remains a threat to life on planet Earth. Environment Minister Wera Mori says parts of the autonomous region of Bougainville has refugees of climate change, a first of its kind in the country.
Minister Mori says logging is one of the factors that contribute immensely, causing the sea levels to rise. That is the current matter in parts of Bougainville following a visit to the region.
Unai and Tinputs and going down south to Buin. A lot of the landmass has been washed away by the actions of sea waves.
According to the recent visit, Regional MP Jamalili Dune says 300 meters of land in Bougainville has been washed away in the last 45 years. Tamalili Dune says Bougainville has refugees of climate change as a result of industrial activities by the developed nations. This has caused many problems, including food security and displacement.
And I sit here, not only representing my people as the first climate change refugees, but I also sit here as a victim. I am a victim of what is happening in the world. What the big industrialists are doing to this Mother Earth. I am a victim. You've clearly seen on the example that Minister had shown earlier on where he went to on the shorelines of Bougainville, where I come from. It is my village, it is my dwelling, it is where I plant my plantation. I have lost 300 meters of that. My whole life's gone. I am a displaced citizen of this global village.
If waves continue washing away shorelines in parts of Bougainville, it may cause the government to resettle people as land becomes limited. Chamalili called on the government to address this with the support of U.S. government to prevent displacement and resettlement of its people.
We are living in a modern age with cutting-edge technology. There are people regrowing corals in the world. They are reclaiming land in the world. I want our development partners. I am really happy that Honorable Minister and the MD are having a conversation with John Kerry, Presidential Envoy of Climate Change for the United States. Please, with your cutting-edge technology, rebuild our atolls, reclaim our islands. You can do that. I do not need my people to be resettled.
Oro Governor Gary Juffa, who has been vocal against illegal logging in the country, says logging cartels in the country have compromised and manipulated government departments like Environment and Conservation, Land, Mining, Agriculture and Forestry for the benefit of a few. He said those activities contribute to climate change.
These departments were created to protect the interests of Papua New Guinea, not to protect the interests of those who come here driven by greed and that have been destroying our environment to our detriment, to a point where now we see what is happening, not just in Papua New Guinea, but around the world.
Mr. Juffa says those who participate in this industry must be brought to the discussion table to discuss the future of the country because their selfish and greedy agendas has threatened the future of PNG in many ways, including climate change. He says they need to be responsible for their actions.
We cannot allow this particular group of people to continue to do this in our country. We're an independent country. We did not gain independence only to be recolonized by selfish cartels with their own greedy agenda. And this is why I am demanding that this government must bring them to the discussion table. Shape up or ship out. This must be the message. Our very future depends on it. We have a responsibility not just to Papua New Guinea, but the entire world.
Alexis Sengi, National EMTV News.
A look at the overall statistics for COVID-19 in the country as of yesterday. The accumulative total positive cases are over 1,600, out of which over 2,000 are active cases. The country's COVID-19 recovery is now over 8,000, with the death toll at 102, with over 82,000 tests conducted so far. Oro Province has recorded its first COVID-19 death case, according to Governor Gary Juffa. In a news conference yesterday, Jufa informed EMTV News that the number of COVID-19 cases recorded in the province has reached 28.
According to reports from the Controller's Office on the update of COVID-19 statistics as of Friday 23rd April shows that Oro province has only recorded 23 COVID-19 cases so far. However, following reports, Oro Governor Gary Jufa mentioned that the province has recorded its first COVID-19 death. He says the situation is serious with the rapid increase in the number of new cases reported in less than a week.
Oro province has not been exempt from COVID-19. And I can inform you that it is a very serious issue in our province. We have already had one death, and our cases went from 3 in just 1 week to currently 28. This is very serious. And I urge the people of Oro to take serious action in regards to maintaining their social distancing, their sanitization, their wearing of masks. This is very important.
Despite government putting in place new strategies to contain the spread of the virus, the situation remains uncontrollable, thus difficult to manage. He says the movement of people in and out of Popondetta town should be minimized.
I urge especially our village people, do not come into Popondetta town unless you really need to. If you can attend to your needs in your own district, in your own LLG, I urge you to do that rather than having to come to Popondetta town during this period of time while transmission is very high.
As the statistics continue to rise, Governor Jufa is calling on the National Department of Health to make quick interventions for the vaccination of frontline workers and health officials in all provinces, including Oro.
Still waiting for vaccinations for Oro province, and I urge the national government to take immediate action to ensure that vaccinations are brought to the provinces. The National Department of Health really needs to step up. The Secretary and his team over there have a lot to do. I understand that, but at the same time, please ensure that vaccinations for provinces, especially our frontline workers, are dispatched as quickly as possible.
Suli, National EMTV News.
The Internal Revenue Commission has challenged all spending agencies to spend government revenue wisely on productive areas and not to misuse the money. Commissioner General Sam Koim says in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, IRC staff are taking risk to work and raise revenue for the country. He also highlighted plans to prosecute businesses that are not paying taxes.
Speaking to the media recently, IRC Commissioner General Sam Koim says IRC staff are taking risk to work under this COVID-19 pandemic. He says businesses are struggling to pay taxes and the revenue raised in these trying times must be used wisely on productive areas.
So that's the warning to all the spending agencies to make sure that the money that my staff are risking to make here, the money that small businesses are struggling to continue to pay taxes faithfully, must be used in productive areas and must not be wasted, firstly. Secondly, contracts must be given to tax-compliant entities.
According to the Commissioner General, there are businesses that are not paying taxes and are getting contracts using COVID-19 funding. The IRC Audit Division has been engaged to audit these businesses and to commence tax crime prosecution on these businesses. He says all businesses are struggling at this time and it is not fair for tax-compliant businesses.
Interestingly, some of them have never filed any single thing, never paid any single thing. Yet they are getting contracts worth hundreds of taxpayers' money. So we are auditing, and some of them we've started to take action now. So we'll be prosecuting some of them as well.
Deputy Prime Minister Sam Basil also raised concerns on SMEs that are sprouting overnight and not paying taxes. He says these SMEs are supported by political cronies with loans politically written off, and they will be dealing with these SMEs.
Through my department, we have taken up this initiative to make sure that we look after them as well, and not just SMEs that are sprouting overnight just because the government is giving free handouts. They get the money and they disappear. And as we can see in the operation of NDB, we have written too many political loans off, and we have given too many political loans to our cronies. This must stop. This is a real hard time. We must now think about our economy and those businesses that have been working very hard and are being honest.
With the aim to support SMEs, the government has announced its plans to review the 200 million Kina loan disbursements to SMEs. The Deputy Prime Minister says all tax-compliant businesses must be supported and protected.
This decision trickles down, and we will convince the NEC and of course our government to make sure that this is the right step to take in order to protect businesses that need help at this time. We will also look at other small financing companies as well that looks after informal sectors and MSMEs. We are not saying that we will forget them, but first of all, let's look after the garden that is feeding these coffers and the nation.
Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. More stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The Indonesian Alliance of Independent Journalists has condemned an anonymous attack on a prominent West Papuan journalist. Victor Mambo's double-cab ute was spray-painted and its windscreen smashed in the early hours of Wednesday morning. In a statement, AJI said it strongly suspects that the attack was related to recently published which certain parties did not like. Victor Mambo is the editor of tabloid Jubi, an independent newspaper that has reported on West Papuan issues. He was also the subject of threats by pro-government agents during protests in 2019 in Jayapura and Jakarta. The PNG Defence Force yesterday welcomed the arrival of the Guardian-class patrol boat. The ship is a gift by the Australian government and is the second of the 4 ships donated under the Pacific Maritime Security Program.
The Pacific Maritime Security Program is the successor to the original Pacific Patrol Boat Program, which Australia gives vessels to Pacific Island countries between 1987 and 1997 as a gift. These vessels are packaged with long-term Australian sustainment, training infrastructure and advisory support. Under this program, 19 larger and capable Guardian-class patrol boats have been given to 12 Pacific Island countries, including PNG. According to Director for Maritime Operations, Commander Bunu Mwatapa, upon welcoming the arrival of new ship Rokas Locking Up, said this is the second of the 4 ships given to PNG under this program.
So we are just here purposely to meet the ship that came back from Australia. This is the second ship of the Guardian-class patrol boats under the Pacific Maritime Security Program, which is the DCP arrangement between the 2 countries, Papua New Guinea and Australia.
The ship left the shores of Cairns on the 10th of April and arrived in PNG waters on the 13th. Following strict COVID-19 protocols, the ship was in quarantine for almost a week before being authorized by the Controller's Office to dock at the wharf. Commander Matapa says the ship will anchor in Port Moresby for a week before patrolling to Manus, where it will be commissioned.
So our current plans for the vessel is to keep her 1 week here and send her back to Manus. That's a home port when the CDF decides on the date for us to commission it, and it will be commissioned under the one of our commanders, Rokas Locking Up.
Suli, National MTV News.
Local youths in the mining town of Porgera have taken the lead in cleaning and beautifying Porgera Valley under an initiative. The Porgera Urban Local Level Government Town Rangers initiative started in February this year with the collaborative efforts of the members of the PNG Defence Force. As part of community engagement, members of the East Sepik-based Infantry Battalion led the local youth to conduct the cleanup of Payam Township and Porgera Station. 35 youths are involved in the program. Meanwhile, the Porgera Urban LLG Assembly has passed laws that includes a penalty spot fine of 50 kina or community service for a day if found to be littering in a public place. Guaranteed funding is crucial to improve and develop road network in the country. Work Secretary David Were says the establishment of the PNG Road Fund Board is to drive this key agenda forward. Were told MTV News this reform is one agenda for key road projects of the ruling government.
According to the Works Secretary, funding has been a major hurdle to improve road programs in the country. This low and untimely availability of funding has constantly put the Works Department on its knees. Secretary Were says the creation of the PNG Road Fund Board is to ensure funding is constant.
Without guaranteed funding, the long-term output-based contracts cannot work. So if the budget is coming in drips and drabs, and which resulting in delays in payment to our contractors, we need to consider other better options, and that better option is to raise funds through the user pay policy and sustain those long-term maintenance programs on our key highways.
Members of the PNG Road Fund Board were sworn in recently at the Works Department. Secretary Wera says with proper advice and expertise provided by the board, funds will be raised to support road programs using the user pay policy. He says this is vital going forward for better maintained roads.
The idea is to pick up other key roads down at the subnational level and other non-priority national highways, but in the meantime, the idea is to focus on the key or the core road network that is important to grow in the economy.
Donor funding and loan access have been the major key drivers as government allocation come in drips. Secretary Wera says work has begun to align the department's role in ensuring funding is acquired and accounted for better roads throughout the country.
We're just reorganizing it, where we're separating now the road fund from the road management functions and responsibilities, where the road fund will now come under independent board of trustees whose role will be mainly to raise funds, look at road-related revenues, mobilize those funds, consolidate them, and dedicate them to mainly fund the maintenance programs.
Jack Lopava Jr., National EMTV News.
Women in the remote parts of Green River in West Sepik have requested the Vanimo Green District Administration to set up a wholesale in Vanimo town. Women leader Noreen Fanio said since the closure of the border due to COVID-19, women from Green River are now traveling all the way to Vanimo to purchase their stocks, a risky and costly exercise.
The closure of the PNG-Indonesian border is forcing small businesses in Green River Station to divert to Vanimo town to purchase their store goods supplies. Green River Station is a few kilometers away from the PNG-Indonesian border. However, due to increased COVID-19 cases in Vanimo, people are not allowed to cross over. Women operating small businesses are forced to make the lengthy, costly and risky trip into Vanimo town. Lengthy as it takes about 5 to 6 hours on a bumpy road, costly because it cost 80 kina to travel to Vanimo and 100 kina return trip, not forgetting freight cost for the cargo, and risky because of the often treacherous river to cross and the possibility of a road accident. Noreen Fanio is a women's rep in the Green River district. She says purchasing store goods from the Asian-owned shops in Vanimo is too costly. With their little understanding of the effects and impacts of COVID-19 to the economy, they thought COVID-19 restrictions would reduce the cost of goods and services. It is actually the total opposite, and they found out the hard way, paying more than what they used to and making less profit. Noreen is calling on the Vanimo Green District Development Authority to set up a wholesale for small businesses in rural parts of the districts. She suggests one wholesale in Green River Station so that the people won't have to travel all the way to Vanimo. This will save them hundreds of kina. Local MP and the opposition leader Belden Nama said the district is aware of the people's struggles, and with the limited funding given to his district, they will address the major infrastructure needs first, starting with rebuilding the Waradio Bridge. The 10 meters wide river is the only missing link between Vanimo and Green River Station. Shamin Poreambeb, National EMTV News.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Currently sitting in 12th place on the Intrust Supercar points ladder, the Burleigh Bears have had a slow start to their 2021 campaign. Things will not get any easier for the defending premiers as they face a confident SPPNG Hunters outfit that are on a 3-game winning streak. Speaking to the ISC media team, Burleigh captain and PNG Kumul's prop Luke Page spoke of his team's chances against the Hunters this Sunday.
Burleigh Bears captain and PNG Kumul's prop Luke Page knows that his team are in for a bruising encounter against the SPPNG Hunters in this Sunday's annual Anzac Day clash. Burleigh, who are the current holders of the Kokoda Cup, have had a sluggish start to the 2021 season, currently sitting in 12th place going into tomorrow's match. Page is expecting the Hunters to lift in intensity, as they usually do when facing the hard-hitting prop who has donned the Kumul jersey 11 times.
Yeah, I love playing against the PNG Hunters. They're always tough, especially being a Kumul myself. So yeah, we're going to come out all guns blazing, and I'm sure they will too. So all the boys are pumped. We're looking for a win. So yeah, it'll be a massive day.
PZ Park, the home ground of the Burleigh Bears, usually gets their largest crowd attendance of the season whenever they face the Hunters. Both the Bears players and fans know that it will be no easy task when they host the informed Hunters.
Yeah, look, I'm going to be up for the game as well, but I think there's only about 4 Kumul's players in there at the moment. There's a lot of new guys in the team this year, so no, it'll be very interesting to see how they go.
Huxley Lovai, Chukai Sports.
The recent directive by the National Control Centre on the use of Tauranga Aquatic Centre has raised concerns from Papua New Guinea's national sporting federations. The directive issued on the 22nd of April states the Tauranga Aquatic Centre will be used for the purposes of COVID-19 for the next 12 months.
A number of national sporting federations have expressed disappointment with the recent announcement by the National Control Centre on COVID on the usage of one of the major sporting complexes in Papua New Guinea, the Tauranga Aquatic Centre. PNG Basketball Federation is one such body directly and adversely impacted by this move. According to the Federation President Kara Mahalelai in a written statement, while the Federation supports the government's initiative to combat COVID-19, it is concerned with the given 12 months usage for the purposes of COVID. The overarching body of national federations, the PNG Olympic Committee, through a statement, has raised similar sentiments in support, saying this move will drastically affect national federations' operations, their membership bases, and athlete training for international events. The TAIC is one of the key legacies from the 2015 Pacific Games, having been upgraded to a world-class multi-purpose sporting facility for those games, in which PNG topped the medal table. And during the past 6 years, it has become the home and daily training environment for several sports. PNGOC has expressed frustration over the lack of consultation with regards to the 22nd April directive on TAC. In their statement, while fully understanding the COVID situation at this time and recognizing the need for sporting facilities such as Ritaflin, TAC and the Sir Ignatius Kilagi Stadium to be made available to fight against COVID, they believe appropriate consultations are necessary and relevant for workable solutions for all concerned parties. PNGOC and affecting sporting bodies say there was zero consultation prior to the TAC directive. President of the PNG Olympic Committee, Sir John Dawanikura, in his statement said, had sports been consulted, then they could have advised the controller of the implications, so that well thought out and well-informed decisions could have been made collaboratively and contingency plans drawn up. The President further stated the decision, if not reversed, will seriously impact preparations for a number of international events, including the 2022 Pacific Mini Games, Commonwealth Games and the 2023 Pacific Games. For the PNG Basketball Federation, Tarama Aquatic Centre and Sir John Guy's are the only FIBA-compliant venues in the country. In 2018, BFPNG hosted the Oceania Under-15 Championships. From the 800,000 kina capital support from the government, 2 million kina in economic spend was created. BFPNG President Kara stated, "Sport has a role to play in developing and providing opportunities for human capital, keeping citizens healthy and away from crime, and contributing to the economy." Kilawani, Trukai Sports.
That story wraps up Trukai Sports, the weather report after these messages. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Plus, with you always.
Regional weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, Port Moresby and Kerama, partly cloudy with few showers and possible thunderstorms. Daru, cloudy periods with few showers. Alotau and Popondetta, partly cloudy with few showers. To Momasa region, Ley, Medang, Wewak and Vanimo to expect cloudy with few showers. To the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau and Buka, cloudy with few showers. Keviang, partly cloudy with brief showers. Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe, cloudy periods with brief showers. To the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka and Kundiawa, cloudy periods with few showers. Mendi and Wabeg, cloudy with few showers.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Plus, with you always.
And that's the news, sports and weather for Saturday, the 24th of April 2021. Pleasant viewing. Be safe. Bye for now.